Good morning. This is Karl Schmidt, a retired pastor from Calvary Lutheran Church in Amherst, New York, which is just outside of Buffalo, one of the suburbs. I'll welcome you to our service this morning. It's the last Sunday of the church year. It's kind of a focusing on the idea of last things. Anyways, you'll see. The text this morning is from Matthew 25, verses 1 to 13 for this last Sunday of the church year. And it's also about last things and new things. I guess that's why it's set for one of the texts for the end of the church year. Matthew chapter 25, verses 1 to 13. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took lamps, and took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept, and at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said to the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, No, not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but you go rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterwards came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Truly, I say unto you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Here ends a portion of the gospel text from the Gospel of Matthew, the 25th chapter, verses 1 to 13. Well, I welcome you today. It's cold. Right now it's snowing here in Western New York, or at least in my little corner of Western New York. And although, you can still take the dogs out for a walk, which is a good idea. It's not that terribly cold. Oh, one interesting little thing. Another use for a mask. For all these people that, don't like to wear masks. Ha! Got one for you here. You know what they're really great for? Keeping your nose warm outside. Yep. Because, you're breathing in the thing, and it keeps everything inside the mask warm, about the temperature of your body. And when you're outside, it keeps your nose perfectly warm. So, not only do people who refuse to wear a mask endanger themselves with COVID, or at least more likely to get COVID than people with a mask, but on top of it, your nose will be cold. I thought that was funny. Of course, if you're a person that doesn't like masks, it might not be as funny. Anyways, well, I guess after nearly 11 months of this pandemic insanity, you either develop a sense of humor, or you've lost your sense of humor and you're just sitting there staring glumly out the window. I hope not the latter. I hope you've been able to keep a sense of humor about the whole thing, and because if you can't, seriously, this is going to go on for a while yet. The plague is getting, what was it, 190 plus thousand just yesterday? Just some bizarre number. It's unheard of, and the number of deaths somewhere way over 1,000 every single day. It's just worse and worse. It seems to be out of control, and yet you see people without masks. I don't know. At least their noses are cold. And if you want to keep your nose warm, wear a mask. See? Interesting. Well, I said this is the last Sunday of the church year, and it's about things ending and things starting. And that's what Jesus is talking about, the idea behind this little story this morning. The story, if you're familiar at all with Jewish proceedings of the first century, especially weddings, you'll know that it was the practice among the Jews of first century Israel that husbands would have typically 3-4 wives, co-wives. If you read through the Mishnah, the oral the book of the Oral Law of the Jews. You'll know this. In fact, one of the early chapters is entitled Co-Wives, and all the rules of inheritance and all the rules of all the pecking order in the kitchen, so to speak, among all the different wives that a man would have, and then inheriting wives from a dead brother. The whole procedure was obviously the groom did not go to the bride's house. That'd be silly because you'd be taking an entire entourage of yourself and all your other wives. Imagine how stupid that would look. No, the the bride went to the groom's house, obviously. What Jesus did was to tell a little story that was completely upside down and backwards on purpose to get people's attention, to keep them away from the details of the story and focus more towards what people who study these things call the tertium, or the point of comparison. And the point of comparison is right in the first sentence of Matthew 25, verses 1 to 13. It's the first verse. Then shall the kingdom of heaven, he basileia tu oranu in Greek, the kingdom of the heaven, belonging to the heavens. You see, Jesus is trying to tell us a little something about the kingdom that is not of earthly kingdoms. And he's trying to communicate to us that the world in which we live now is coming to a change. It's coming to an ending and a beginning. And he's basically saying, understand. Now, look, most of this is above my pay grade. I do not understand a whole lot of what Jesus says or that's in the Bible. I think anybody who actually studies it in the Greek and Hebrew would be the very first ones to tell you that, because the languages alone leave so many questions, not to mention the ideas behind them. And here it's the ideas behind them. How can we describe something that we've never seen, we don't understand, the dimensions of which we are completely unfamiliar with? And when I say dimensions, I don't mean length, width, and height. I mean well beyond that, space-time. We live in space-time. I don't think that the other world lives in space-time, because it's an eternal something, a moment that is forever. Again, even that makes no sense, but that's how God describes his kingdom. Anyways, so Jesus is here telling us about beginnings and ends, and kingdoms beginning and ending. We should be familiar with that in America, because it's this time of year that our form of government, which remains the same, but we have administrations that come and go. That is the normal order of the government we've designed, that we have here in the United States of America, which is well over 200 years old. And it's people have never had a difficulty with this, and I'm 62, or just turning 62, and I'm rather shocked that there's anybody that has a difficulty with this. Sure, it's turbulent, but every single time, grown-up adults that have, their full mental faculties about them go through a peaceful, orderly, friendly even transition. Even if they don't actually like each other very much, it's cordial at least when earthly governments, ours at least. And that was one of the things that made our country unique. It's not so much unique anymore, but it was up to now. And for the life of me, being 62, I don't understand citizens of a country that, like ours, where it's our system. Sure, it's just a system. There's nothing divine about it. It's just one of many different... in England, they have a parliament and a House of Lords, and they have a king and a queen, and princes and royalty and nobles and dukes, but we don't. We got rid of that when we left England behind, and we had a revolutionary war and left that system behind. We have our own system, and there are other systems. There are many other systems, probably as many different countries in the world. That's fine. And each of them tries to regulate themselves, especially during a pandemic, as peacefully and orderly as possible. And during good times, a little stress is happens, but during time of national or worldwide crisis like we're in now, Just a little side note here. I mean, come on, people. Grow up. It's not your little world to play with. People depend on order and peace. And right now, we are all stressed out and tired of this nonsense. So stop, would you, fellow citizens? And, grow up. And as every single time before, people simply did the system and smiled, at least. Get with it. This is nonsense. Because, see, this text is about coming to grips with a change. It's just like people who don't see a heavenly kingdom. He basilia tu oranos. I say heavenly. Okay, that's a simplistic nonsense way of saying it. Jesus uses it simply as a way to speak of a kingdom of the skies. It's obviously not of the skies. Like one is up and one is down. Oh, please. For a small child, okay. But for a grown-up, this is when you leave small childish things behind and realize that Jesus is talking about his home, which is going to be our home. You see, getting ready for a change in a grown-up way, that's what our system of government especially should prepare us for. It's just like life. You're born, you live, and then you die. And, the funny thing about this is it doesn't matter how poor you are, or how rich you are, how strong you are, how weak you are, or how healthy you are, or how sick you are. Everyone is born, lives, and dies. Now, you don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But guess what? There is no one who's 400 years old. No one. Anywhere. That's it. Boom. Done. So, this is a funny thing about this whole transitioning of kingdoms. You don't have to approve. You don't have to agree. You don't even have to believe in it. You don't have to believe you're getting old. I'm turning 62. Guess what? Wow. Things are different at 62 than they were at 17. Would I prefer to be 17? Oh, yeah. Do I like being 62? Nope, not at all. Does all the junk go wrong? Everything's been wrong for a long. I've never been that terribly healthy to begin with. But boy, at 62, it just falls apart. I thought the doctor was kind of funny when he said, 62 is not that old. I apparently have a very nice doctor with a great sense of humor. Because I'm a retired pastor. And the funny thing about being a retired pastor? We visit nursing homes for a lifetime. And you know who's in nursing homes? Women. You know who's not in nursing homes? Men. You know why? Because we all die off 10, 15, 20 years before the women. That's why nursing homes are wall-to-wall women. Every pastor in the world knows this. I'm sure doctors know it too. They just, they have to just say nice things. But that's just the way it is. 62 for guys, it's pretty old. That's just the way it is. So you get used to transitions. It's the nature. It's the way. It's just like now it's snowing, and several months ago it was sunny and warm, and I had to cut the grass, but I don't have to cut the grass today because it's freezing, and it's going to be covered in snow eventually. Probably not deep, but maybe slushy by tonight's end. This is what Jesus is saying is, look, there's the earthly kingdom and there is another kingdom, a different kingdom. And he's saying and how does this happen? He says, look, there's a little story about people who are prepared and not prepared. That's all the idea is. That's the tertium, the point of comparison in this little story. And the point of comparison is, look, how to be prepared. Well, that is to know what God has done, to make it so we can go from this kingdom to the other kingdom. And how is that? God has himself taken care of it. Because what are you going to do? I don't even know where it is, what the kingdom is like. No idea. Duh. So God took care of it because I can't, you can't, nobody can. It's not how you live. It's not what you do. It's what God has done. That's it. And what has God done? He sent his son to take away the sins of the world and to live that perfect life of love that God has demanded in the law, because that is the law. Love is the summary of the law. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God, and so on and so forth. And that's it, the word love. That is what God demands. And you know what? I don't even understand that word. I don't know what it means. Maybe you do. It's a mountaintop I've never seen. Because I know what earthly love is. I love chocolate. I love chocolate. Everything else I think is a like column. But chocolate, yummer. But what is God talking about? I'm pretty sure it's not like liking chocolate or loving chocolate. And so when God says, thou shalt love the Lord thy God, I'm pretty sure that's way beyond what I understand. And none of us have ever achieved that or even know what it means to achieve it. That's the issue. And so he's taken care of it for us. He sent his son to live that perfect love, at the same time die the death that we have by our failure before him, that Christ has taken upon himself, the Son of God, born of Mary, born as the Son of God, to live among us as a sinner, though without sin of his own, and then to lay down his life to save ours. That's it. That's the gospel. That is the good news. That is the idea. Do I understand that? Nope. I'd be lying to you if I said I understand any part of it. I don't. Even the shortest word of it all, sin, I don't get. Love, a little longer word, 4 letters, still don't get. But God does. Another short word, God. I don't really understand him either, and it's not my place to. I'm just the creature. And I'm fine with that. I'm a creature in transition. I'm turning 62 and getting older, and eventually I'll die. And someone else will do this job. Fine, good. That's how it's supposed to be. That's the whole intention. That's the idea. And it's like a presidency. They come and they go. And that's why we put limits on terms, and that's why we have voting. And then they rotate out, and someone else comes in, man or woman, whoever it might be. I think it's marvelous that we'll have a vice president that's a woman. That's fabulous. It's way about time. And see, these are things that are about earthly kingdoms. Wonderful, but it's all about change, regular change. Just like our human lives regularly change. Just like now, when we had window air conditioners, my kids said, Dad, you're not going to try to take that out of the window by yourself. And they say, okay, step aside, old man. We'll take it from here. And my kids would step in and take care of it, because they're right. I'm too old to lift up an air conditioner. I mean, come on. I'm not that strong or healthy. They are, and so they take care of it. That's part of change. Look, you don't have to like it. You don't have to believe it, but there it is. Do you have to believe that dying comes to everyone? No, you don't have to believe that. In fact, you don't have to believe the face mask helps you. And a lot of people go, I'm not going to wear a face mask. I'm going to go wherever I want. Yeah. And 190-some thousand people got sick yesterday. First off, hey, change comes. Sorry. If you need an apology, there you go. Now you got one. I don't know. It doesn't do any good. It's like someone saying to me, oh, Karl, sorry that you're, 60 good, turning 62. Don't need an apology. I'm fine with it. Yeah, it's just getting older and we're getting ready to die. Yeah. I have severe allergies. I've nearly died many times. So what? Yeah. And things change. Hey, America, get used to it. And for those people who are causing such nonsense in a time of crisis and turbulence, please, come on. None of us need that. We're tired. We don't need people running around saying stupid things. Just stop it. And if you're a Christian on top of it, do better. Do better. More is expected, at least from me. So anyways, you've heard the gospel, that God is the one who's going to take us to this new kingdom. Great. That we live and we die. Great. That administrations come and go in America. Great. That we have something new. We have a woman who's going to be the vice president. Great. We have a woman of color that's going to be a vice president. That's fabulous. Why did that take so long? That's marvelous. Thank heavens. And see, things change, and that's nice. And then the biggest change of all, for all human beings, when God shows up and takes us out of everything we know, everything, time and space, and brings us into something we don't know anything about. You talk about change. Look, if you're having a hard time with little changes here, good luck. Because that's what this text is about. Those who couldn't figure out to be ready is to first off accept the idea of change. And if you have a hard time with earthly change, how are you going to get ready for a change into a kingdom that is not even in space-time? But God is coming. That change is coming. So this little sermon is about, hey, wake up, grow up, move on with change. I changed. I'm 62. I'm going to be 62 in a few days. And I'm not going to try to pick up an air conditioner ever again. Ever. Because it'd be really stupid for me to try. Really dumb. Anyways, so we move along with change. That's what God has designed. That's how one kingdom becomes the next. And so, well, I hope this has been some help to anybody who wants to listen. And for this last Sunday of the church year, and then Advent starts next Sunday. That's the inevitable cycle as long as time rolls forward, that the last Sunday of the church year is followed by the first Sunday in Advent. So, and then the Christmas cycle that follows that. See? Things change. Things move on. And I think we'll all be glad when the pandemic is over and there's a vaccine. And oh, dear heavens, if your doctor says you can get a vaccine and there's one for you, please get yourself vaccinated. And if you're eligible to get a flu vaccine, a regular flu vaccine, get one. People die of that too. So protect yourselves. Do what you can to protect others. Look, if you don't care about yourself, at least care about me or my wife or my grandkids. Give a hoot about someone other than yourself if you don't care about yourself. Wear a mask. Stop going to bars and places where people share this disease. I mean, stop going anywhere if you can help it. And I know it's awful, 11 months in, but we just got to make it till the end of this. So try harder is the message, because we're not trying hard enough. Well, hopefully by next week we'll be down from as many illnesses and deaths as we're at now, and things will smooth out a little bit. All right, take care. Again, this has been retired Pastor Karl from Calvary Lutheran, and all about change in this kingdom, and change in the kingdom from this world to the next. All right, bye-bye.